Deliver me, O my God, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. Psalm 71, verse 4. The psalmist names his enemies with precision. He does not speak in vague terms about general opposition. He identifies three categories: the wicked, the unrighteous, and the cruel man. Each word adds a layer. The wicked describe those who live in active rebellion against God's law. Likewise, the unrighteous describes those who pervert justice, men who twist what is right to serve their own ends. The cruel man describes someone violent by nature, who takes pleasure in causing harm. The phrase "out of the hand of" appears twice, and the repetition is deliberate. In the ancient world, to be in someone's hand meant to be under their power and control. The psalmist is not just surrounded by wicked men. He is in their grip. He asks God to extract him from their power. This verse functions as the psalmist's honest assessment of his situation before God. He does not minimize the danger or dress it in polite language. He names what he faces and brings it to God. The prayer assumes that God can reach into the hand of the wicked and pull his servant free. That assumption itself is an act of faith. For thou art my hope, O Lord God, thou art my trust from my youth. Psalm 71, verse 5. The psalmist shifts from his enemies to his God, and the contrast is sharp. Against the wicked, the unrighteous, and the cruel stands one thing: God himself. The psalmist declares God as his hope and his trust, but then adds a phrase that carries tremendous weight: from my youth. This is not a recent arrangement. The psalmist has trusted God since he was young, and that history of trust gives his current prayer its foundation. The word hope here carries the idea of confident expectation, not wishful thinking. He does not hope that God will act. He expects God to act because God has proven himself across a lifetime of experience. Every past deliverance becomes evidence that God will deliver again. The double address, Lord God, combines the covenant name Yahweh with Adonai, the title of sovereign authority. The psalmist calls on the God who is both committed to him through covenant and sovereign over every enemy who threatens him. Both realities matter. Covenant without sovereignty produces a God who cares but cannot act. Sovereignty without covenant produces a God who can act but has no reason to. The psalmist claims both concerning our God. By thee have I been holden up from the womb. Thou art he that took me out of my mother's bowels. My praise shall be continually of thee. Psalm 71, verse 6. The psalmist reaches back further than his youth. He traces God's faithfulness all the way to birth. By thee have I been holden up from the womb. The phrase holden up means to lean upon for support, to be sustained by something outside oneself. The psalmist declares he has been leaning on God since before he could choose to do so. God's sustaining work preceded his awareness of it. Thou art he that took me out of my mother's bowels. God's involvement in his life did not begin at conversion or at some moment of spiritual awakening. It began at birth. God was present and active at the moment the psalmist entered the world, and that presence has never lifted. This verse carries direct application to the doctrine of divine providence. God's care for his people operates not only during times of crisis. The psalmist has been held up by God every day of his life, most of those days without recognizing it. Now, from a position of danger and age, he looks back across the full span and sees one hand sustaining him from the very beginning. The response to this recognition is immediate. My praise shall be continually of thee. Not occasional praise, nor praise reserved for moments of deliverance, but continual praise rooted in a lifetime of God's proven faithfulness.